Alright. Hi, Madison. My name is Patrice. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'll be the person doing your substance use assessment with you. If you're comfortable, I'd love to know your pronouns, but don't feel obligated to share them if you're not. But I'd love to know just a little bit about what brings you in and how your day's been going so far.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. My name is Madison, and my pronouns are she, her. And yeah, I'm here for a substance use evaluation. It's required through my work, and so I'm just really hoping to get this done.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting me know what's going on. Before we sort of dive into a little bit more about what brings you in, I just want to go over a couple of things about the process here. So this is going to be a substance use assessment. It is required, so I do have a little bit of information on why you're here already. But we're going to be spending today getting to know you as much as possible. So I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about your life, from basically when you were a baby until now, just so that I can get the most comprehensive picture about what's going on with you as possible, so that when we're done here, I can give you the best information possible where to go from here, given what's going on for you. So a couple of things to know about the assessment process here is that this is a training clinic. So that means that I am supervised. My supervisor's name is Dr. Brad Connor. And what that means is that I am receiving supervision on giving you the best possible care. And that means that I will occasionally talk about what's going on in this assessment with him, but it will not go beyond that relationship because this is a confidential space. And confidentiality means that what you say in this room will stay in this room. There are some exceptions to confidentiality in addition to talking to my supervisor. Those exceptions are if you indicate to me that you are the victim of abuse or neglect, if you know of the abuse of or neglect of a vulnerable population, if you indicate to me that you know of a threat to a large group of people or place or a threat to national security, and if you know of the threat or violence to a place or property in this state. So if any of those things come up, I will talk with you about it. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to take that information outside of this room. It just means that I want you to be informed about what's going on. Also, in this clinic, I'm a mandated reporter of abuse and neglect. So similar to the confidentiality exceptions, if I am ever needing to make a report, my policy is to try to communicate with you as much as possible in that process. Maybe that's before the report, maybe it's after. We'll sort of play it by ear in the situation. I know I kind of talk fast. I want to check in and see what questions you
Hmm, I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship, like the supervisor, I guess? I just
have. Yeah,
don't want a lot of people to be knowing about my experience, so I'm just
absolutely.
wondering if you could tell me a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a supervisory relationship, this is all about me learning the skills that I need to be the best clinician for you possible. So in any case where I'm talking with my supervisor about what's going on, most of the time it's about my own skills and how I can better improve the work that I'm providing to you. And at times, if I have questions, sometimes it means asking that person questions. So if I have a concern about abuse or neglect, it's getting another voice involved so that I have another perspective. And they're also abiding by confidentiality where the information about you will not extend beyond the conversations that I have with them.
Okay.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
question. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I feel better about it. I guess I was
Okay.
just worried that it would be used in like a broader setting or something, and so
Yeah.
this is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that concern. And let me know if you have questions about it moving forward. I'm happy to explain.
Okay.
Yeah. So today is going to be me asking you all those questions as possible. And I do have some of your intake paperwork, which I appreciate you taking the time to fill that out. And we'll go over some of that, some questions that maybe you had while filling it out. We can go through it as well. But typically today is going to be all about getting to know you. And then after today, I am going to give you the materials that you need to complete the substance use assessment. And at this agency, those substance use assessments come across as email links, and then you can fill them out on your own time. So if you want to fill them out here in the office, you're more than welcome to do that, or you can fill them out at home if you have somewhere that you need to be. I totally respect that. And we can sort of play it by ear, and then we will schedule another time to go over the results.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Any questions for me so far before we start getting to know you?
I don't think so. I'll let you know though if something comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely reach out and let me know. So I know you've already shared a little bit that you're coming in because your work required you to get a substance use evaluation, but what brings you in?
So, about, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I went out after work with some friends and, like we usually do, got some drinks together, and yeah, had some drinks, had some fun, and then I was driving home and I got pulled over and tested, and then I was charged with a DUI or something like that is going on right now. And essentially, it's like a requirement of my work
Mhm.
to get an evaluation to figure out if this is like an ongoing problem. And because I operate some like heavy machinery and things like
Mhm.
that. And so I work on a loading dock at Amazon, and some of those bigger, heavier machines are part of my job. And so they want to make sure I'm not like doing that at work, which I don't know why they would even assume that, but yeah, they're trying to make sure that that's not going on, and so I can't go back to work until I get this assessment done.
Okay, so you said this happened 3 weeks ago
Hmm.
when you were out drinking, got pulled over.
Yeah,
So it's been 3 weeks since you've been able to work.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been yeah quite a bit of time
Mhm.
actually, and it's just really causing me a lot of stress waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a stressful situation. So tell me a little bit more about this instance when you were out with your friends. What was going on?
Well, I have some friends that I work with, and then some friends from like high school that I still see around in the area. And so we were just going out and like hitting happy hour at a place that we usually go. And I had a few drinks, not more than like I usually have, and I didn't really feel like drunk or like there was a concern. And so yeah, drove home assuming it was fine, and the cops didn't think so. So
Mm.
I got, yeah, pulled over, which I think they're just like out on that road to kind of, I don't know, see who's driving by. I don't know if they really
Mhm.
are actually doing it for people's best interest. And then, yeah, got pulled over, and that's led to this kind of DUI situation, and now me not being able to work. So it's really ruined some things for me.
Yeah, you mentioned it causing a lot of stress for you, and
Mhm.
and I'm wondering where that stress is coming up in your life right now.
It's been really hard to eat regularly. I know that sounds like a random thing, but I just kind of feel sick a lot of the time because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay for rent in a month from now. And, I'm supposed to be traveling out of state to go on a trip with some of my friends. And
Mhm.
now it's looking like I'm not going to have the money to like fly and do that with them. And so it's just been, I think a lot of the stress has been related to like not eating, as well as just like worrying that something really bad's going to happen. Like I worry I'm
Mhm.
going to lose my job over this ridiculous situation. And yeah, that would just obviously cause a lot of challenges in my life. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of unknowns right now that you're trying to navigate, which sounds like it's exacerbating a lot of your stress right
yeah.
now. Yeah. So you said that when you were out drinking, it felt like your usual amount of drinks. How many drinks do you think you had that night?
Trying to think. I didn't really count. I think I probably had like six.
Okay.
I would say about that, 6 or 7 drinks.
Okay.
Um,
And that feels like a usual amount of drinks for you, you said?
yeah, I mean, it was over like 3 hours, so it was only
Mm.
like 2 drinks an hour.
Okay.
And then I waited 30 minutes after drinking my last drink to head out and just like
Mhm.
talked with people. And yeah, it didn't seem like really a problem at the time.
Yeah. You said that this was also, your group of friends that you normally are out having fun with at happy hour. How many drinks were they having?
I think pretty similar. I mean, a lot of the people that I work with at Amazon, like we like to kind of blow off some steam after all the heavy labor of the day, and we just like to have fun. And so we went, and I think they probably were having, I would say, pretty similar. Some of the guys I think were drinking more, because they can just like hold it better than I can. And so
Mm-hmm.
probably a few more for some of the guys. And then some of my friends who identify as like women, I think we were probably pretty similar. Maybe they were like a little bit less, but
Okay.
not like a whole lot.
Yeah, so it felt like it was pretty consistent with the rest of your group at the time during that day. And it sounds like as well is pretty consistent with your friend group, if I'm
Yeah,
hearing you right.
exactly.
Okay. So do you know what you were pulled over for?
They mentioned that I was like going pretty low under the speed limit and it looked like there was a challenge staying within the white lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, nothing significant. I really think I don't know. I think they might be pulling at straws a little bit there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd love to know a little bit more about this instance, and we're going to go into more detail about it. But I'm curious with this alcohol, especially with it causing a DUI for you recently, when do you feel like the alcohol use began in terms of it causing sort of outcomes or consequences in your life?
Hmm. I mean, I would say other than this, there's really nothing bad about it. Like if anything, it helps me manage stress and relax. After just like my physical body tension, like I said, of like lifting things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, so I guess 3 weeks ago is like major. I mean, I did get in a fight with my friend, one of my really close friends, because of how much I was drinking. But that was a while ago, maybe like 6 months ago.
Okay.
hmm
What was that fight about? What did it look like?
We'd gone out. I think we were going out to dinner, and I got a few drinks at dinner, and then, if I'm remembering correctly, and then we just kind of, I think I just started, I don't know, joking around. And it ended up, something I said offended her. I think I made a joke about one of like her ex-boyfriends or something like that,
Mm,
and she got really upset. And so then we had to leave the restaurant and we kind of got in like a kind of like a verbal fight, I guess, on the street, but it
mhm,
wasn't anything serious, but it definitely took us a week or two to like talk again and recover
mm.
from that. But that, I don't know. That could happen to anybody.
Yeah, so it caused a fight with your friend about 6 months ago, and it feels like that could happen to anybody. And noticing that it was about your alcohol use at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have, how sometimes you drink and then like you're a little more like loose-lipped than normal
Mm.
times. Like I think that was kind of what happened. Like I probably would have made a similar joke, but it would have been a little gentler. Yeah.
Oh, so your alcohol use got brought into the conversation because the comment that you made was maybe a little bit less tactful, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't like that conversation directly where we were arguing that we were talking about the drinking, but it was later on that my friend was like, yeah, well, sometimes, just essentially mention that sometimes I say things that are like a little brash when I
Oh,
drink, but I wouldn't say it's more than like any other person who drinks. And
okay.
yeah,
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with me. I
yeah.
appreciate it. Any other instances in your life when you felt like your alcohol use maybe caused some consequences for you that come to mind right now?
Hmm. I mean, there may have been like a few other little fights with friends over some of these things, like as for what I say when I drink, um, but far more insignificant, I would say, than that one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's probably in like the last 2 years. I feel like
Okay.
that's kind of been a thing.
Okay.
Where yeah, sometimes we'll go out and hang out and I don't know, things just get kind of rowdy. So
Okay. So you said that these sites are a little bit more insignificant. Can you maybe go into a little bit more detail about what you mean by that?
yeah, I mean, like my friend Macy, who I'd gotten in that argument with 6 months ago about like she didn't talk to me for like a week or two after that comment and was like pretty upset and like really wanted me to take accountability for it, which like I get now after we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about it. But yeah, I'd say the other smaller fights, there haven't been issues where like people won't talk to me afterwards.
Mm,
That one felt like more serious. Like it bothered her more.
yeah. How about you? Did it bother you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty bad, I guess, because I didn't mean to hurt her feelings. Her ex though was like a major douchebag, but
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't mean to bother her so bad that she wouldn't talk to me for a week or two. Like
Mhm.
we've been friends since high school, and so it was pretty surprising to me that we didn't talk for, I mean, even a week or two was like long for us.
Yeah, that's a pretty long time given your relationship with Macy, it sounds like.
Yeah,
How often would you say that you're having these consequences from your alcohol use?
I mean, like little spats here and there, maybe every like month or two in the last couple of years.
Okay. In the
But
last like 2-ish years you
yeah,
mentioned? Okay.
probably. But it hasn't, like I said, nothing serious like that one with Macy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How severe would you say these consequences have been in your life? Like how disruptive have they been for you?
Um, the small ones, there's not a huge impact other than me like, I don't know, feeling sad that we kind of had that argument and feeling maybe like a little bit worried about our relationship, but it tends to go away pretty quickly. I think the one with Macy was more like I thought I was going to like legitimately lose a friend that I've been close with for a long time. And so that was
Mm-hmm.
really stressful. But I mean, I don't know. I guess if I'm looking back, I would say like it is pretty stressful when I fight with people because I really don't want to lose the friends that I have and I've got a good group of people around me. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, it would, I would say it just was like pretty worrisome.
Yeah. And more recently, with sort of not being able to work, what sort of impact has that had on your life?
I mean, it definitely, like, I've been super afraid that my life is going to go downhill
Mm,
and that I'm going to like lose some of the things I've worked for. And so just thinking about the future all the time has been a lot. And then because of that, because I'm like thinking and worrying and feel sick and have trouble eating, then I'm feeling like really tired just because I'm spending so much time like thinking about it. And
yeah.
yeah, so it definitely has caused some stress lately.
Yeah, and that showed up in some of the like intake paperwork that you filled out. I know there's like that long list of symptoms that you could say like, oh, all these things are going on with me, and I know
Yeah.
that quite a few of those have been around like worrying and stress and feeling anxious about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like a lot of that has to do with the unknown of the situation right
Yeah,
now. Okay.
exactly. It's just worrying about what's going to happen really with my job.
Yeah, of course, of course. Your livelihood is based on
Yeah.
that. I mean, you already mentioned difficulty worrying about stress or paying, being able to pay your rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you been managing or dealing with the anxiety and the unknown right now?
I think a lot of what I do is just like kind of try to forget because the
Mm,
anxious thoughts are so intense.
mm-hmm.
That yeah, I mean, I've been getting together with friends and trying to relax and going out to try to kind of like forget some of my worries, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So a lot of it is feeling like you're just trying to get away from it emotionally, maybe even mentally and physically if you
Yeah.
can. Okay. What are you doing to get away besides hanging out with friends?
I mean, we'll go out and like drink and stuff and hang out and like get dinner and do those kinds of things to just kind of like take my mind off of it and
Mm-hmm.
hang out and like play pool or something at a bar and play games. Like that kind of stuff has helped to forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say some of that. I've also been trying to like talk to my family and just like talk about what I'm worried about and
Mm-hmm.
kind of express how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that's mostly it. I feel like I know I need to do some other things to cope, but I don't really know what else to do, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate you sharing that with me because that can be one of the things that we talk about when we go over the results of this evaluation, which also leads me to my next question of what sort of assistance and recommendations you're hoping to get with this evaluation.
Um, I think the main thing is that I don't know. It's hard because I know I can't tell you like I really want a good evaluation so that my work, keeps me on. But I obviously like ideally that is what I would want is that this
Yeah.
evaluation kind of like comes out clean in some sense so that I can get back to my job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think other than that, finding some other ways to cope, just because like it is really intense, kind of like physically the work that we do. And
Hmm.
sometimes, there's arguments between people who I work with and different ways, different thoughts between like the higher ups and folks who are like working at my level.
Yeah.
And so it can get kind of stressful sometimes. So figuring out how to just kind of cope with the stress of like the
Mhm.
interpersonal piece as well as some of those just like physical things would be good.
Yeah, so learning some of those coping skills for navigating not only this situation, but also other things that are going on at work, like how to manage some of those interpersonal conflicts that you might have if you disagree with your boss. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. I know you also mentioned, and I appreciate your transparency around, like, yeah, I hope that this assessment comes out and like everything's okay. What might it mean if we find something there? Like if we do say, like, hey, maybe this is a problem, maybe your substance use is a problem. What might that mean for you?
Uh, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't thought about that a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty upsetting,
Yeah.
honestly. Just because I feel like that's like the amount I'm like drinking is really typical in
Mhm.
comparison to my friends. And I don't know, I worry that if I don't have like that to connect with them, because you hear that like if people have a problem, then they like have to stop. Like I don't want
Mhm.
to, I don't know, lose that way that I get to hang out with people.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big part of your social interactions with others. So if you're finding out that it's a problem, it's going to be a pretty big shift, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it weren't substance use, what else do you think might be going on for you?
Hmm. I don't know. I was thinking about this before I came in because I don't really talk about a lot of these things with other people, but
Hmm.
like there was something pretty distressing that happened a few years ago.
Okay.
In like I was in like a car accident, like a pretty serious
Mm-hmm.
car accident,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was 20 with my family, and yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting. I was just thinking about it because we're going to be meeting, but like it continues to be something like I still think about, even though it was like,
Mm.
I don't know, 7 years ago.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe that's related to some of this. I'm not sure, but it is, yeah, I was just, I don't know, surprised that it still hasn't gone away, I guess.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. I definitely want to hear more about that, which actually sort of leads me into the next sort of set of questions that I want to ask you about. So I like to get a really comprehensive picture of what's going on with you. And that means I'm going to start at some pretty early developmental parts of your life. So I'm going to start by asking you about what you were like when you were a baby. And you might not know the answer to all these questions, and that's okay. I just want to try to get as best of a picture of you as possible. So tell me about what you know about your pregnancy. Like, do you know if you were full term, if your mom had any complications with your pregnancy? Do you know any of that information?
She has mentioned to me that I was delivered like late,
Mm,
she'd said.
mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as I know, no complications. Like I had a sibling that was born premature, and I know like I didn't have any of those issues. Nobody's mentioned it to me.
Okay, so you were delivered late. Do you know how late you were?
She meant it was like not crazy long, but I remember her like jokingly complaining about having to be pregnant for longer than she wanted. So I think it was
Mm,
maybe like 2 weeks.
okay,
Hmm.
okay. So a little bit longer. It seems like mom just sort of jokes about it now. You also mentioned that you had a previous sibling or another sibling who was born early. So compared to what maybe your sibling experienced, what interventions do you know if you had any interventions when you were born?
I don't think I had anything because
Okay.
she had like I know they had to give her like oxygen or something because she was having a hard time, maybe
Mm,
not having a hard time breathing, but like needed assistance or something like that. So,
okay.
but I know I didn't have any of those kind of
Okay.
interventions. I think it was pretty typical.
Okay. So other than that, it seems like based on what your mom has told you, her pregnancy with you was pretty normal.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So then if we talk into like that first year of your life, how was your general health at that time?
Um, Good as far as I know. I think I was like had a lot of, I was a pretty like sociable baby is
Mm,
what people have told me and like wanted to be around my family and other babies and things like that. But they haven't mentioned any like illnesses or anything like
mm-hmm.
that.
Do you know if you got all of your immunizations as a child?
Yes, luckily
Okay.
my parents find vaccination very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I know on your intake paperwork I had to ask you about some of those developmental milestones, and it looked like you hit all of those at about the time that you were expecting. Is that what you've been told as well
Yeah,
from when you were a baby? Okay.
yeah.
You said that you were pretty sociable, got along well with others, always wanted to like hang out with other people. How about as you got older? So when you were in like that toddler stage, so about 1 to 3.
Yeah, I would say that continued.
Yeah.
Just got along well with other kids and used to play a lot outside, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think at that time, like pretty typical stuff, but obviously very, yeah, pretty like extroverted. Like I have friends that are more introverted, and I would consider myself a little more extroverted.
Okay. What about any experiences with like injuries? Did you have any broken bones, bumps and bruises notable that you remember?
I mean, there was one time where I like fell, I like accidentally jumped off a trampoline when I was like, I think 4 or 5 maybe, and like sprained my arm.
Okay.
But other than that, nothing like significant as a young kid.
Okay. And what about any behavioral concerns when you were a toddler? Like, did you ever hear like, oh, you used to never go to sleep or you would never eat your green beans? Like anything behaviorally that you remember being told about?
Mm, I mean, I know I was like a little bit of a picky eater, but other than that, not really. Like, I think I was pretty, I don't know, followed the rules pretty well with my
Mm,
family.
okay.
Mhm.
And what did your family consist of growing up?
So it's my mom, my dad, and then I have two younger sisters.
Okay. How
Mhm.
much younger from you are they?
We're all 3 years apart.
Okay,
Mhm.
so when you were a toddler, you were the only one that was there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. How about when you started to get into like that kindergarten preschool range? Around that time was your first sister being born?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's around when I remember her starting to be around.
Okay.
Mhm.
How did you get along with her?
Good. I think there was an adjustment of being an only child from what I've been told that, you have to like not have all your parents' attention anymore.
Yeah.
But nothing that was like mean or concerning. I think it was
Okay.
just an adjustment.
Yeah. Felt like you pretty well got along with her besides like normal sibling discourse.
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
so.
Okay. Do you get along with your sister now?
Yeah, yeah, we're really close.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Where
I feel
does
really lucky.
Yeah, where does your sister live?
One of my sisters lives down in Boulder, the
Mhm.
one that's like 3 years younger than me, and then my youngest sister, so she's 21. She's going to be graduating from college next year, and she goes to school in California.
Okay,
Mhm.
so relatively local for your one sister and then not quite so much for your other
Yeah.
sister. Okay. And I know you put on your intake paperwork that you were born here in Fort Collins.
Mhm.
Where do your parents live?
They live down in Loveland now, just because it's a little more affordable.
Hmm.
But yeah, born and raised here in Fort Collins.
Very cool. Thanks for
Mhm.
sharing that with me. So if we're back into that preschool kindergarten age range, any injuries or anything that you remember happening during that time?
Other than the whole trampoline thing, no. No significant injuries that I can think of. I think like normal bumps and bruises of like
Hmm.
playing outside, but there wasn't anything where I was like consistently falling down or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you were still a pretty sociable kid. Is that true during this time as well?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that continued. It like changed a little bit in middle school, but I've overall been really extroverted a lot of my life.
Okay, okay. Any problematic behaviors that you remember as a kiddo during that time?
Mm, Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I think that was just the picky eating thing is really all that we've
Yeah,
talked about when I was like young.
okay. Okay. And then did you go to preschool at all? Do you remember?
No, I didn't go to preschool at the time. I think I was just like still home with my mom. And
Mm-hmm.
then the next year, yeah, when I went to kindergarten, that was like the first time I'd gone to school outside the house.
Yeah. How did school go for you?
It was good. I think it was a little bit of an adjustment at first, just since I was like really used to being outside and doing a lot of things like physically. It was kind of, it's an adjustment to like sit down and put
Mm.
pen to paper, I guess. But my mom said that like after a couple of months, the transition was like okay. It just was hard at first.
Oh, so going from just like being able to run outside and play with your toys whenever you wanted to now having a little bit more structure
Yeah,
just took a little bit of a getting used to, it sounds like.
exactly.
Okay. So if we jump into like that elementary school age, what do you know about your health during that time? Did you have any injuries, hospitalizations, anything like that during that time?
No injuries. I'm trying to think. I definitely like had the stomach flu a couple times just
Hmm.
because of being around a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing super like concerning. I was like lucky to not be sick a lot.
Yeah. Okay. And then you were still pretty sociable, like you said, pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
How was your mood as a kiddo that you remember?
I'd say pretty good. Like I have friends who struggle a lot with like depression and feel
Hmm.
really down, and I don't feel like I've ever really had that experience of like feeling really, really down. I definitely
Okay.
was like a little more stressed when I got into middle school, but I think a lot of people were.
Mm.
But yeah, I would say like pretty happy-go-lucky kid.
Okay. Okay. And then in that same age range, what sort of things were you interested
Again, a lot of outdoor stuff. I really liked like climbing trees and playing like, soccer and things like that outside with my friends and
in? Hmm.
parents if they'd play. So a lot of outdoor stuff.
Okay. How many friends did you have when you were a kiddo? So we're in that like 6 to 10-year-old elementary school range.
I mean, I'd say like a pretty solid group around me, probably like 5 to 7 friends that
Okay.
I like consistently hung out with.
Yeah. What sort of things did you all do together besides like playing outside? Anything that comes to mind?
Sometimes we'd like watch a movie and do
Hmm.
those kinds of things, but it was mostly just like hanging outside and playing pretend and riding bikes around, those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Just really spending as much time as you could in your free time together, it sounds
Exactly.
like. Any experiences with bullying or teasing when you were in elementary school?
Not in elementary school. There were some like meaner girls when I got into middle school, but not in elementary school.
Okay. What did the bullying and teasing look like in middle school?
It just was like they just would say mean things about my hair and about some of the clothes and stuff that I wore because I was like, I like to be able to play outside and do things, and so I liked wearing pants and stuff, and some of my clothes had like stains just because like I was always playing in the mud and that kind of stuff. And so
Mm.
sometimes people were really mean, and that just kind of pushed me to, I don't know, start being more like feminine, I guess, at that time.
Hmm.
But not anything that was like scarred me, but it definitely was like a hard adjustment, I remember.
Yeah. How do you feel like that influenced your mood and social ability during that middle school range for you?
It just like made me pissed off, honestly. Like
Hmm.
I wasn't really that stressed about it, and it didn't really make me feel sad. It just irritated me that people could be so mean and made me angry.
Yeah. Yeah. So managing some of that, I'm curious what you would do to sort of cope with those feelings.
Yeah, I mean, a mix of things, I think, but I talked to my parents at the time. They were helpful. I did get in trouble once in middle school for like, I don't know, I think one of the girls that had been mean to me, I think we like, I can't remember what it was. She was like doing something outside and we took like whatever she was doing. It was like her assignment or something and like threw it away because
Mm.
I was really annoyed and got in trouble for that, but nothing like I didn't get like suspended or detention. It was just kind of
Okay.
like don't do that again.
Yeah. Were there any other behaviors during middle school that were problematic? So sometimes people will talk about like difficulty focusing in school or difficulty sitting still. Um, sort of covers the range, but any problematic behaviors during that time besides getting in trouble for throwing away someone else's assignment?
No, nothing where like I had a hard time sitting still or like, I don't know, couldn't, I don't know, wait for lunch or whatever. It's just mostly that like I preferred to be outside.
Okay.
And so it was more of like a preference, not really like, oh my God, I have so much trouble concentrating.
Yeah. Any health concerns during that time, injuries or hospitalizations when you were in middle school?
Luckily, no.
Okay. Okay. Where did you go to middle school? I know you were here in Fort Collins, but which school did you go to?
I don't remember the exact name, but it started with like a B. One of that middle school that's over there. It's been so long since I've been. I just went over there for like a friend's kid, but I can't. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. I'll think of it right after this session.
Okay. No worries at all. No worries at all. So if we jump into your high school range, what was your health like at that time? Any injuries or hospitalizations?
No hospitalizations. I don't think there were any like significant injuries. I think again, just like typical stuff of like bumps and bruises of like falling down or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I continued to have some like, stomach flu like people would get just like in school,
Yeah.
but nothing like super notable where I was like, oh my God, I'm really unwell.
Yeah. How about your mood and emotions during high school? Also, which high school did you go to?
I went to Rocky Mountain.
Okay.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your mood and emotion like during that time?
I would say I was starting to get back to some of that like happy-go-lucky, but there was definitely more like irritability or like anger
Mhm.
at that time or frustration. Just, I don't know, with like annoying things, like having to do busy work in high school really would piss me off and
Mm,
stuff that just felt like not worth my time or like I don't really care about
yeah.
math or whatever and having to do it. So
Yeah.
other than that, but nothing that was like crazy bad or like that I got in trouble for.
Okay. So you said that you would get irritable. What would you do to cope with that irritability?
At that time, I started like going outside a little bit more to kind of cope with that. Like I continued to like ride my bike, and at that point, I was like going on smaller hikes with friends. So
Mhm.
I would do some of that and talk to like my parents
Okay.
again.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then any difficulties with behaviors at that time? So problematic behaviors that you would get in trouble for?
I don't think so. I think, like sometimes I'd talk back to my teacher and would get in trouble for that, but I never got like detention or anything. It was just kind of like I was told to not do it again.
Okay. Okay. What about socially at that time? How many friends do you think you had in high school?
I would say continue to be quite a few. Like I've always found like a good friend group of people here, and so probably like I don't know, 8 friends I would say that I was pretty close with that we'd
Okay.
spend a lot of time together.
Okay. And then any conflicts with your friends that you remember in high school?
I think like a couple over dumb things, but nothing ever really significant where like we didn't talk for a long period
Hmm.
of time or
Yeah.
anything like that, or nothing that like ended friendships.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're still friends with quite a few people from high school. Is this the same friend group that you're mentioning that you're still friends with today?
Yeah, some of
Okay.
them left Fort Collins and have gone to other areas in Colorado, but the ones that are still up here, I hang out with.
Okay. Okay. And what about your experience with dating in high school? Did you date anyone?
I dated like 2 people
Okay.
at the time. Yeah, I dated like I am bisexual, and so I
Hmm.
dated like a girl and a guy when I was in high school.
Okay. What were your relationships like with them?
I would say pretty good. I mean, we weren't really like well suited for each other. I
Mhm.
think I look back, but it was fun at the time, and then I had people to go to dances with and things like that.
Okay. So how long did you date those people?
And it was like maybe a couple months apiece for
Okay.
each of them, pretty short.
Okay. Okay. Pretty short relationships. What sort of things were you interested in high school? Like, what did you do in your free time?
Hmm. I think continued to do a lot of outdoor stuff, continued to hang out with friends, but at that point it was a lot more of like we'd hang out inside and like eat food or,
Mhm.
after, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other fun stuff we would do. It was just like a lot of hanging out and like playing games or like talking about what's going on and
Mhm.
doing that kind of stuff.
So a lot of just like that social time together, just talking, it sounds like,
Yeah,
not necessarily an activity involved in it.
exactly.
Okay, okay. So if we look back at sort of your entire educational experience, what would you say are some of your strengths in school? Like what subjects did you feel really strong in, and which ones did you struggle in?
Even though I hated math, I was good at math. So I would say like math, I had some talent in. I think science, I was like okay, middle of the road. It was really just like English and like history, more of those I don't know, more like verbal pieces that I had more challenges with.
Okay, okay. What sort of experiences did you have in school in terms of like comments that your teacher would make? Did they say like, "Oh, you're really doing well in this area, you're really struggling in this area"? Anything like that?
Nothing too notable. I think I had like a really nice teacher who had said I was like really good at math and that I should pursue that in college and do those kinds of things, but I really didn't feel like math was and college were really for me. So
Mm,
I didn't really follow along with that, I guess.
okay, okay. And then did you receive any special education or tutoring services while you were in school?
No,
Okay,
luckily.
okay. What sort of grades did you get in high school?
A lot of like B's, pretty
Okay,
solid B's. I think math was like the only one that I was getting pretty high A's in.
okay,
And sometimes I'd get like a C or so in English or history.
okay. Did you have a job while you were in school, in high school?
No.
Okay. Did you have any sort of plans of what you would do when you left high school? Like plans to start a career, to go to college? What did that look like for you?
I mean, my teachers wanted me to go to college pretty badly, but, or like that one teacher, I would say, and some of my friends were going, but I really didn't feel like that was for me. My dad also works in some like he like works at a warehouse job and has
Mhm.
really liked it and got like really good benefits over time and has like worked his way up to being a manager. And so I kind of wanted to do something like that where I could still get to be outdoors and enjoy some of that stuff and not have to put up with many more years of school. And so
Okay.
at the time I was thinking of just like going straight into the workforce and yeah, kind of doing
Okay.
that.
So it sounded like you had a pretty solid idea of wanting to enter the workforce right away. And if I'm hearing you right, also seeing an example of working in industry and sort of pursuing that right away.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Did you have any legal troubles when you were in high school? Like any times that you were arrested or got pulled over by the cops, like when you were out with your friends, anything like that?
Uh, one time I went to a party in high school with my friends and some like neighbor had called, like some of our friends had gotten a hold of alcohol from like their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't drinking a whole lot. I think I drank like one beer or something, but
Okay.
essentially the cops had been called and we all had to like leave really fast. But other
Okay.
than that, I didn't get in trouble for that, luckily.
Okay. Okay. So the cops were called, but you were just sort of released.
Yeah,
Said, get out of here, go home. That sort
exactly.
of situation. Okay. So if we go into your adulthood, because I know you put on your intake paperwork that you're currently 27.
Mhm.
What are you currently doing for a job, or what were you doing before you were arrested, or before you got your DUI? I apologize.
No, no, you're good. I work at Amazon at the fulfillment center, and so I work on like the loading dock there and manage, forklifts and some heavy machinery and equipment, and essentially get it put into the warehouse so that folks can like pick it and then deliver the orders.
Okay. Okay. And how long have you been working there?
I've been doing that for like I think 4 years now.
Okay.
Mhm.
What were you doing before that?
Right after high school, I think I took a little bit of time off for like 6 months or so. And then I
Okay.
got a job working at Wendy's in town. And I wanted to do that to kind of figure out what the best, I don't know, I just wanted something kind of chill so I could keep hanging out with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I should probably look for something that's a little more like regular hours wise. And so then that's when I went to Amazon.
Okay, so how long, so if you've been working at Amazon for 4-ish years, you were working at Amazon, or not at Amazon, at Wendy's
Yeah.
for quite a while then before you shift.
Yeah, I guess it would have been like I think I started working at Wendy's when I was 19 and I worked there until I was about 23.
Okay.
And then I shifted right over to Amazon when I was 23.
Okay. So about 4 years at both jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Any concerns about your job outside of the situation that you're dealing with right now with your DUI and not being able to work, but any concerns about your work other than that?
Can you tell me what you mean, like by concerns?
Yeah, like some people will talk to me about the conflicts that they have with coworkers or with their boss, maybe some behavior management issues like, hey, I've been written up or I show up late all the time so I get in trouble. It sort of covers the span, but those are some examples that come to mind.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said earlier, the one where sometimes there's like higher ups who make decisions and they don't know what it's like to work on the loading dock, what it's like to pick packages. They don't really know a lot of what it's like to work at like the level that I'm at, where I'm like with the people all the time,
Mm-hmm.
as for like my coworkers. And so some of that's caused conflict. As for just irritations that they don't really understand and they'll put policies in place that really aren't for our like in our best interest.
Okay.
Um
Has this caused you to get reprimanded at work in any way?
Not really reprimanded. I think I just like spoke out at like one of the meetings that we had with a higher up and it didn't go bad, but I could tell that he was upset
Mm.
with me. And then like he used to come in and like say hi every day kind of thing, just like as he was walking in. And he stopped doing that for a while.
Okay.
But, after a while, I think things resumed being normal and, nothing really changed policy wise. So it was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it sounds like a frustrating situation to navigate, especially because you were trying to advocate for yourself.
Yeah,
And it felt like it caused like interpersonal conflict at work for sure.
exactly.
Okay. How's your health right now as an adult?
Good. I would say good. I think, you know, I still try to like get outside, when I'm not so stressed. I try to get outside and like hike and stuff and do some of those things when I have a chance. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'd say I'm like pretty good. I eat fairly well and yeah, get enough sleep for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. How's your mood like now?
I would say you mean like right now or like before the DUI
Before the
happened?
DUI, and then we'll talk a little bit more about after the DUI.
Okay. So I think before, again, pretty like happy-go-lucky. I've got a lot of friends that I hang out with and get along with really well. Yeah, I think nothing really serious other than just like minor irritations of things that piss me off that like my friends do or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And I know we've talked a little bit about your friendships. How big is your friend group right now?
I think there's about 8 of us, and so there's like a couple people from high school and then a few people that I work on at Amazon with.
Okay. And then what about in terms of your relationships? Are you dating anyone right now? Do you have any children? What does that look like?
I don't have any kids right now, hopefully in the future. And yeah, I'm dating one of this girl that I met through Amazon. She like doesn't
Mhm.
work there anymore, but we've been dating for like maybe a month or two. It's like pretty brief.
Okay.
So yeah.
Any other significant relationships in your life since graduating from high school outside of the current person that you're dating?
I dated someone from Wendy's for like a couple, maybe like it was like a year. We dated for like a year, but we're really like incompatible, so we broke
Mm,
up. But other than that, not really. It's been like here and there I'll go on dates, but not really anything like long term.
okay. Okay. What sort of things do you do in your free time when you're not at work? And what sort of things do you do with your friends? I know you mentioned hiking, but what other sort of things do you do that are interesting to you?
I mean, not really a whole lot other than just like chilling. Like we'll just like go out and get food and drinks or just get drinks and play pool, like that kind of stuff like that. And then like hiking when I have the chance and like feel like I can hike.
Mm-hmm.
That that's really about it. I don't do like a whole lot of other stuff. I also, we'll like watch movies and, do some of that stuff at home, but not a
Yeah,
whole lot of other.
yeah. You said we at home. What's your current living situation?
Yeah, so I live in an apartment right now with one of my friends, and so we live together in a two-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
And so we'll sometimes like host movie nights and things like that.
Okay. So invite some of that communal friend group over so you
Yeah,
hang out. Okay. Okay. Any legal issues outside of your DUI since you've been an adult?
no, nothing
Okay.
I can think of.
Okay. So now I want to go into a little bit of a deeper dive into your substance use history just to get a better idea of what's going on for you, both historically and right now in your life. So what substances do you use or have you used in the past?
I mean, really not a lot. Like
Okay.
alcohol, which if you're even calling that like a substance, I feel like so many people use that. So
Mm-hmm.
alcohol, and then I've like tried weed, but not anything major, and I don't really like how it makes me feel. So I haven't done that in like a few years.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Any nicotine use in your life?
I mean, like I've smoked some like cigarettes when going out with friends, like drinking, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing where I'm like buying cigarettes for myself.
Okay. When was the last time that you used nicotine?
It's been at least a year, where I probably like smoked one or two cigarettes with like a friend.
Okay. And then you said that it's been a while since you've had cannabis and you didn't really like the way that it affected you, but when was the last time that you used?
Probably when I was at Wendy's,
Okay.
like the last year I was there, so like 23. I had a friend there who like really loved smoking weed, and so when we'd like hang out and do movies and like watch movies, sometimes he would like bring weed, and so I would like smoke some with him. But that was probably the last time. Like this new job, people don't really smoke weed, and I
Mm.
don't really care to. So
Okay, okay. And with smoking cannabis and with nicotine, was there any sort of negative effects from your use? Like any times where you felt like it was really causing you harm, or besides feeling like, oh, I just don't like the way it tastes, or I don't like the way it makes my body feel, anything like that?
I think with nicotine, sometimes I would like cough the next day, but that was really it.
Mm-hmm.
It would just kind of like fuck up my throat. Um, sorry, am I allowed to say fuck in here?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. As for cannabis, I mean, it would make me really tired.
Okay.
And so sometimes I would like miss work the next day when I would smoke with my friends. And yeah, again, I didn't love the feeling of being high. It wasn't like frequent that I would miss work, but when I knew that it was related to that.
Okay. Okay. My apologies.
No, you're good.
How often would you smoke cannabis when you were smoking?
Um, Probably like once every month, maybe,
Okay.
while I was at that job.
Okay. Okay. So, what about your use with any other substances? So, have you used illicit prescription medications that were not prescribed to you before?
Ugh, no,
Okay. What about any experience with cocaine, methamphetamine,
no. I'm like way too, I don't know, freaked out to use any of that stuff.
hallucinogens, anything like that?
What is a hallucinogen?
So, that's a medication that you can take or a drug that you can take that causes you to have hallucinations.
Oh, so
That,
like shrooms? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. No, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. What about your experience with caffeine? Do you use caffeine?
Yeah, I drink like a cup of coffee every morning just to get going.
Okay.
But other than that, not more than like one or two cups
Okay.
a day.
Okay. Okay. So you've mentioned alcohol and you said even if that's considered a substance, when did you start using alcohol? How old were you?
I think I started going to like a couple high school parties with friends when I was like 17. But that was maybe like two or three times in the year. Other than that, I never really had access to alcohol until I was like, I think when I was like 19 and I started working at Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had friends who would drink and they were older, and so then they could get some of it for us when we would all hang out.
Okay. So when you were in high school and you were at those parties, how many drinks would you have?
In high school, probably only like one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty minimal.
Okay. So then when you were in your 20s, you were 19, sorry, you said you were 19 when you were working at Wendy's, what did your alcohol use look like then? Like how many drinks would you have in a sitting?
So we would hang out. Trying to think back, those friends, we'd probably hang out like once a week. and they'd bring alcohol maybe every time. And so I think then I would drink probably like it would vary, but like 3 or 4 probably typically if we were just like doing a movie night in, which was like most of the time.
Okay.
But if we were going out as for like, I don't know, on the town and there's some like underage bars and places that I've gone. Not underage bars, but places to like dance that are like,
Oh,
yeah, that
okay.
kind of thing, or like have fun, or like we'd go get food or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably more like mm, six drinks probably.
Okay.
Mhm.
Across how much time would you have those drinks? So when you had a movie night, you were drinking 3 to 4. How much time would it take you to drink 3 to 4?
That was probably like 3 or 4 hours of hanging out.
Okay.
And then when we go out and party, that was also probably 3 or 4 hours.
To have, you said 6 to 7 drinks. Is that what I heard you say?
Mhm.
Okay. And then since then, like since you're working at Wendy's and you're having those 6 to 7 drinks across 3 to 4 hours, how has your use pattern changed to what it is now?
Hmm. I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's changed a whole lot. Maybe like I guess it was rarer at Wendy's. Like we were only hanging out like once a week with those people, which was fun. But I like to hang out with my friends more now
Mhm.
and like have more of that social interaction. And so, and since a lot of our social hangs are like getting food or going out to bars to play pool, like, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's probably more frequent now.
Okay, so how many times a week are you having drinks during the day? Well, how many days per week are you drinking?
Oh, okay. Uh, I would say probably in like the last year, it's been like maybe 4 times a week.
Okay.
Hmm.
So 4 days a week you're having at least one alcoholic beverage.
Yeah,
How many drinks are you having per day?
it varies by the day. Like if we're just doing something chill, like hanging at home, usually it'll be a little bit less, so maybe
Mhm.
like 4 drinks. But
Mhm.
if it's like we're gonna go out and we're gonna party and go to a bar and stuff, that's where it's more like maybe like 6 to 8.
Okay.
Mm.
So when you're drinking at home and you're having those 4-ish drinks per night, how many hours is it taking you to have those drinks?
Mm, like 3 hours.
3 hours.
Mhm.
And then when you're going out with friends and you're having 6 to 8 drinks, how much time has passed?
Like 3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours. Okay. So sometimes with alcohol use, I like to ask some pretty specific questions. So I'm going to go into those areas now. And with a lot of these questions, I really want you to focus on your more recent use, so the last year.
Okay.
So when you're going out and you're having drinks, are there ever times when you are going out and you're ending up drinking more than you plan to drink that night? So like you might go into the night saying like, oh, I'm only going to have 2 drinks, and then you end up having 6 to 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How often is that happening?
Uh, I would say at least once or twice a week.
Once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And that's across the last year, it's felt like that?
Yeah. Maybe it's like it varies a bit. I would say probably at least once a week.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, when you drink however many drinks, you can have like a headache the next day. And
Mhm.
sometimes I've been like a little bit late to work because of that. And so I've definitely gone in being like, okay, I'm gonna like barely drink. I'm gonna drink like 2 drinks or
Mhm.
something. But then we just like start having a lot of fun and everybody's drinking a lot of drinks. So then it's just really easy to be like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so it feels like with other people drinking, it's easier to just say like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, and then what happens at the end of the night or the next morning when you wake up and you realize how many drinks you've had? Like, what do you experience?
Um, maybe like a little bit of disappointment
Mm.
in myself just because I don't know, like I said, sometimes it's like really physically draining at work, 'cause since we're lifting so much stuff and moving so much stuff around. And
Mhm.
so when I don't hold to that, like I know I'm gonna feel shitty at work, at least for
Mhm.
the first few hours. And so it can kind of be hard.
Yeah, so feeling a little bit of guilt around like, oh, why didn't I stop? But then also like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like today is
Yeah,
gonna be hard
exactly.
because of that. Okay. How often are you going into work and still feeling the effects of alcohol?
I wouldn't say a whole lot. Probably like maximum 2 times a week, but mostly it's like one time, if not, sometime in some weeks it's like not at all. So,
Okay. Okay. So sometimes you're going in twice a week, still feeling maybe a little bit hungover or like just not quite all there at
mhm,
work.
yeah.
Have there been times when you've gone to work and you've still been feeling the effects of the alcohol? Like you still feel like you're inebriated?
That's only happened like maybe twice, maybe.
Okay.
hmm
How long ago did those two instances happen that you can remember?
One was like it was in the last year, but it was a while ago, maybe like I don't know, 8 months ago.
Okay.
And then the other one was like maybe 2 years ago.
Okay. And
Mhm.
what happened when you showed up to work and you were still under the influence?
I think I got in and was just trying to like shake it off from like by like drinking some coffee and
Mm-hmm.
it like wasn't going away after the first like 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm supposed to be like driving a forklift like right away and
Mm-hmm.
unloading trucks and stuff. And so it was um I like avoided that honest like for a while because I didn't want to drive anything while feeling
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so I waited and then when it had like mostly worn off, I started driving the forklift.
Okay.
hmm
Did anyone at your work ever figure out that you were under the influence?
No.
No. Okay. Any problems at work showing up drunk or like calling into work, missing work, anything like that?
Not showing up drunk. I would say those 2 times were like that was like it.
Mm-hmm.
But and I don't think I like missed work, but there's been like lateness because I was hungover or like
Okay.
slept past my alarm or like forgot to set it because we were like hanging out the night before.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. How much time do you spend or um like how much time do you spend during the week thinking about drinking, trying to find access to alcohol or recovering from alcohol? So feeling hungover or drunk. How much time in the week do you think that you spend doing that?
I wouldn't say I spend any time thinking about like when I can next have it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, nothing like that. I don't like have a problem in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say as for like hungover, like recovering, probably like, if you're thinking I'm going out like 4 times and then I'm like waking up the next day, uh, I'd maybe say like 10 hours a week maximum. Sometimes it's like lower, like 3.
Of recovering from the effects of alcohol.
Yeah, even if, I mean, does it count if I'm just like having a headache, but like still going about my day?
I mean, would you count that if the headache is from your drinking?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. Sometimes I'm just like, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
hmm
Okay. How much time would you say that you spend drinking alcohol during the week?
I mean, if I'm going out with friends like 4 times and we're hanging out for like 3 or 4 hours a time minimum and drinking for most of that, I would probably say like, I don't know, 10 hours, maybe 12.
Okay, so 10 to 12 hours drinking per week, and then about anywhere up to 10 hours per week recovering from drinking.
Yeah, but I would like I said, like when I'm saying like 10 hours of drinking, I'm not saying like pounding shots. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like maybe a drink an hour kind of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes more than that, depending upon what we're doing. And
How
as
often is it more than that?
maybe like I don't know, we only really like party hard like once a week.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where it's usually more. But obviously, like sometimes we've gone out and gotten dinner, and it's like led to going out to the bars kind of thing. So
Yeah.
sometimes it varies.
How many drinks are you having if it's more than one drink an hour on those times where, as you say, like you're partying hard or you're pounding
Mm, Anywhere from like 2 to 4.
drinks in an hour?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say 4 is like I'm holding that. I'm like doing that for like hours and hours and hours. It's maybe like an hour. or
Okay.
maybe like 2, but
Okay.
rare.
Okay. So if we go back to that 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours of drinking and then up to 10 hours of recovering, it sounds like drinking is a part-time job. It's over 20 hours a week.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. Have there ever been times where you've tried to cut down on your drinking?
Mm, no, I wouldn't say there's anything where I was like, I have an issue and like I
Mm-hmm.
need to like do this way less. I would, like I said, there were nights where I was like, I don't want to drink more than this, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
drink more of it than that.
Yeah. And I know you said that there aren't times where you feel like you're like thinking about drinking alcohol or like thinking about where you can get alcohol. Do you ever find yourself having a craving for alcohol where you're like, oh, like I could really go for a beer right like I need a beer right
Not like I need it, no.
now. Okay. Okay. And you got pulled over 3 weeks ago. You ended up getting charged with a DUI. Are there any other areas of your life that you're having problems because of your use? I know you also talked about conflicts with friends, but I'm curious outside of that, if there are any other sort of areas of your life where you're getting into conflicts because of your use.
Uh, I'd really say it's mainly like those little spats with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, like sometimes being like late to work has caused like my boss to be upset.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about it.
How often are you showing up late to work because of drinking?
Maybe like once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
How often? Yeah. How often are you calling into work sick because you're still hungover?
Hmm. That's rare. I usually, like I said, try to just push through. So probably like maybe like calling out once every like 4 months, 6 months, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And then has that caused any issues for you? Like where you're concerned about how much money you're making because you're showing up late or you're calling in and not going in that day?
Definitely being worried about money and like, am I making enough kind of thing, and like, is this cutting out of some of that money?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about your drinking interfering with your ability to fulfill your major obligations? So, I mean, we've already talked about sometimes it interferes with your ability to go to work, but what about other areas of your life? Does it interfere with your ability to go out with friends or to make it to like a doctor's appointment or any other major areas of life, like major things that you need to go to?
I mean, I would say like getting groceries and stuff for the week or like doing laundry, those kinds of things. And like my parents try to do a weekly like dinner. Sometimes it's interfered with my ability to do that stuff of just like
Okay.
basic things.
Okay.
Um, Other than that though, not anything else that I would consider like super important.
Okay. Okay. Outside of drinking 3 weeks ago and then getting into a car, are there other times where you've been drinking and then gotten yourself into a physically hazardous situation? I mean, you mentioned at work, driving a forklift, trying to wait until the effects of the alcohol had worn off. But are there any other circumstances in which you've gotten into a physically hazardous situation while drinking alcohol?
Hmm, I don't think so, really. I mean, the forklift one, yeah, like I was still like feeling some of the effects when I was driving it. It wasn't like as bad as it was, I would say. So that's probably the only thing that qualifies.
Okay. Okay. And what about continuing to use even when it causes harm to you? So, like, what sort of effects do you have from alcohol outside of, I know you mentioned some headaches, but what other sort of effects do you have?
I mean, not a whole lot. I would say like I said, I feel like I drink a pretty typical amount, especially for like my friend group and the people I'm around. And like that's most people. And so at least I think. But yeah, so I would say really headaches are the main thing, and like sometimes throwing up because of like, when you drink too
Mm-hmm.
much, when you party too hard.
Okay.
But other than that, like it's, if anything, it's like helped my relationships because all my relationships are kind of like, we go out and party, like that's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Are there times in your life when you're using despite knowing that like you're having those effects? Like, oh, I know I'm gonna get a headache, but I'm gonna drink anyway. or do you stop when you start to feel those things? What does that look like for you?
I mean, I would say like I sometimes I'll have like the foresight to know like this might not feel great tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels worth it in the moment to like get to spend that time with my friends.
Okay. Okay. Are you having any experiences of blackouts or periods of time where you can't remember what was happening while you were drinking?
No.
Okay. Okay. You've mentioned that this feels like a pretty normal amount for your friends. I'm curious, when you talk with your friends, are there other experiences where your friends are like, "Oh yeah, I called in sick to work," or like I showed up late because I was so hungover? Like, do your friends mention stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay. How often do you think that happens for them?
I mean, a couple of them I think about the same as me. There are definitely a couple that like now as they're getting older and their jobs have gotten more serious or like they're having kids, it's changed a little for them.
Mhm.
But there are definitely a couple that I would say it's pretty similar,
Okay.
but not everybody.
Okay. So just a couple out of your total friend group?
Hmm.
Okay. Are there times where you feel like you need to drink more, or at least over the time of your life, where you feel like you need to drink more to establish the same effect of the alcohol? So, like, you might have only needed 2 drinks before to feel a little bit buzzed, where now you need 5 or 6 drinks.
I don't think so.
Okay. Have you ever experienced any symptoms of withdrawal from alcohol where when you've gone a long period of time without drinking alcohol, you might start to experience like shaking in your body, extreme headaches, that craving for alcohol, anything like that?
No,
Okay. Have you previously had any other evaluations?
no.
Okay. Any treatment for your mental health in the past where like you've been to a therapist or taken any medications?
After that car accident that I mentioned, I went to therapy for like I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 months just to like
Okay.
kind of get back on my feet because I was having a hard time sleeping after that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no.
Okay, so that car accident you said was when you were 20, so it's been about 7 years ago now. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the car with my family. It was like one of my sister that lives in Boulder and then my dad and my mom, and we were just like going out to get dinner. And essentially somebody like ran a red light when we were turning left and hit us.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and I was like in the back seat of the car, like farthest away from where the impact was. So there was like not really any physical damage to me.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was in the passenger seat and he like broke his arm and it
Mm.
was, yeah, it was pretty scary. Like he bled because of it. And yeah.
Okay, so this car accident happened sort of, were you expecting, like, did you see it coming? Anything like that? Like, what did it look like for you?
I mean, I didn't really see the car coming or anything like that. I just remember like realizing that we were about to get hit.
Okay. So like seeing it and just being like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you mentioned like your dad was bleeding, had a broken arm. What did that look like for you? Like, how do you remember that experience?
Just feeling really scared
Mm,
for him. Like I was like really overwhelmed and it felt like this like wasn't real essentially. It was just like so wild that that had happened.
okay.
But yeah, that's what I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah. So the image that you have of your dad with the bleeding, the broken arm was from that day, but also were there long-term memories of that as well? Like, I mean, you were 20, were you living at home at the time?
Yeah, I was living at home all while I was at Wendy's, and then when I got to Amazon within the first few months, I like moved in with a friend.
Mm,
Yeah, I would say I was really stressed after that happened and
yeah.
definitely was really worried whenever I'd like, I don't know, see a car going really fast or something, it would like freak me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have like nightmares sometimes about my dad and his
Mm,
arm and being really worried that he like was going to bleed out or something. And so,
mm,
yeah, some of those kinds of symptoms and yeah, like I said, like trouble sleeping and
okay.
trouble eating.
You mentioned that you, at the beginning of our sort of conversation here, that you were really surprised that you're still dealing with this.
Hmm.
What are you experiencing now regarding that? How does it show up in your life?
It's not like as frequent as it was when it first happened because like I
Mm-hmm.
was having like at that point like nightmares like every night and was like really stressed. And after a couple months of therapy, things kind of died down. I think now it's just more like I still get anxious in cars
Mm,
sometimes, and um, sometimes this will just pop up for me. Like you'll see like a car crash on like a TV show or something, and it'll bring back all these memories. And so I think it just irritates me that it still causes this kind of stress.
okay. So sometimes when you're getting in the car, you're still feeling that experience of anxiety, and it comes up. Sounds like at unexpected times in your life, while you're maybe watching TV or you hear a fast car driving by.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that experience, you said that you went to therapy for a couple of months.
Mhm.
Why did you stop?
I was feeling better at that point.
Okay.
And honestly, I wanted more free time because my schedule was so all over the place. And so it just kind of was cutting into that time. But yeah, I was like, had stopped having the nightmares entirely. And so I was able to sleep and felt a lot better.
Do you know if you were expected or planning, like the therapist was planning to continue therapy for longer than 2 months?
I think she would have liked to continue seeing me, but she was supportive of me doing what I wanted to do.
Okay. So then when did the sort of effects come back after that? Because you said that they completely went away. How long until they came back?
Uh, I would say I mean, I wouldn't say it completely went away with the therapist. Like it, for the most part, did. I
Okay.
still was having stress about the cars. Still, whenever I was like saw a car crash on TV, was stressed. I would have some like physical symptoms. But I think in the last like I don't know, in the last few years, like at Amazon, it's kind of continued every like few months. I'll think about it, and it'll be like kind of stressful.
Okay.
I do think though, like when the DUI happened and like seeing the police lights, it just like reminded me a lot of
Mm,
the police that came to the scene after the accident and all that stuff. And so in the last 3 weeks, it's been more severe.
okay. So even before the DUI, you were still having some of that anxiety around situations, still having some memories of the event, and then in the last 3 weeks, it's gotten a lot more
Yeah.
frequent, it sounds
Yeah.
like. Okay. So, do you have any family history of substance use, either in your immediate family with your siblings and your parents, but even beyond that into grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins? Any experiences of that you know
Uh,
of?
there's only one person in my family that I know of that's had a substance, like challenges with substance or like is addicted to something, and that was like my grandpa when he like came back from the war. I remember hearing that he like drank a lot, and yeah, that was like something my mom grew up with.
Okay, so it was your maternal side of the family, your mom's
Hmm.
side of the family. What about any other experiences within your family, both immediate and extended, with mental health? So, anyone who's been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar disorder, or personality disorder, like sort of just throwing out some examples.
I mean, it's not really something we talk about in my family a whole lot. I think the only one I know of is like my grandpa definitely had some kind of like trauma
Mm-hmm.
from the war, and my youngest sister has had some like depression. But
Okay.
other than that, I don't know anything about like my cousins or aunts and uncles. And my parents have never mentioned really, and I haven't really noticed anything that I would say is like really concerning.
Okay. Okay. And what about any experiences with medical diagnoses that are notable? So sometimes people will say like, "Oh yeah, I grew up and I had childhood cancer," or like a family member that I was really close to had this really severe disease that I was exposed to it a lot. Anything like that for you?
Hmm. My dad has like is like at risk for heart disease. Like I think it
Hmm.
runs on his side of the family, but other than that, no, nothing serious, luckily.
Okay. And then one thing that I do like to ask everyone is their experience with suicide. Have you ever experienced any thoughts of suicide in your lifetime?
No,
Are you experiencing any current thoughts of suicide?
no.
What is your experience with self-harm? Self-harm, so injuring yourself purposefully without the intention of dying.
Oh, so you mean like cutting or something?
Yeah, cutting can be an example. There are other examples that people sometimes describe, like burning, branding, anything like that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I haven't had any experience with that.
Okay. Any experiences with homicidal thoughts or thoughts of wanting to injure someone else?
I mean, like at my job, I was pretty irritated at that manager when things were happening, but I wouldn't say I was like wanted to like kill him.
Okay.
It was more just like I was really irritated and like I don't know, joked about like punching him with a friend, but that was like it.
Okay. Okay. And then the last thing that I sort of wanted to talk about is just like what strengths you find in yourself. Like what strengths would you identify as being part of yourself right now?
Hmm, that's kind of hard since I've been feeling pretty down on myself lately.
Mhm.
I don't know. I would say like I get along really well with other people, and so I feel like that's a strength. Um, and I'd say I'm pretty like I don't know, when I'm around my friends, I feel pretty like funny. So I like those things about myself, and I'm pretty hardworking too.
Okay. So hardworking, you're pretty funny. Sounds like you've got a pretty sociable life across
Mhm.
your lifespan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. So that's sort of where I am going to leave off in terms of getting to know you better, unless you feel like there's anything else that you want to share with me.
I don't think so, but I'll let you know if something comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely do that. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with the links for completing some surveys to sort of back up some of the information that we've talked about. And it's going to ask you a whole bunch of different questions about different areas of your life. So there will be 4 assessments for you to take. One of them is going to be about substance use. One of them is going to be about depression. One of them is going to be about anxiety. And one of them is going to be about trauma.
Okay.
So each one of those will have its own separate link. And if you want, you can complete them at home. If you would also feel more comfortable completing them in the office, you're welcome to do that. And then after you've completed those surveys, we'll schedule a time to go over the results, but we'll do that after you've completed your surveys.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Any questions for me?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna go home and do those now so that I can relax a little.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Well, if that's the case, then that's where we'll end off today. And then I will see you when we have your results ready, okay?
Thank you.
All right.